Hello crafty friends and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a 2 for 1 card design where we will be creating cards using the die cut as the main focal point on a very vibrant ink blended background and also use the negative space from the die cutting to create a very clean and simple card front. I'll be creating Eid Mubarak card for you guys. Before we get started, I would really appreciate if you could take a minute to subscribe to my channel and hit on the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Let us first take a look at the die that I'll be using today. This is the Eid Mubarak die by Altenew. This die is an Arabic script for Eid Mubarak and it is perfect for creating dimensional cards, die cut projects, die cut inclays, perfect for all of your Eid festivities. This die measures roughly around 3 by 3.5 inches, which is big enough to cover an entire card front. And this sentiment die can be used as a main focal point for your cards, just like what we will be doing today. The only element on my card fronts other than the sentiment die would be a couple of positively dazzling gems by Simon Stamp. This die is compatible with majority of the die cutting machines that are available in the market. Today I'm using my Sizzix Big Shot, but I also tried using this with my Spellbinders Platinum 6 and Gemini Junior die cutting machine, and each time it gave me beautiful results. Take a look at this beautiful and intrinsic design. This is a very delicate die cut, so I would prefer using a heavyweight cardstock to cut it out. For the negative piece, make sure to hold on to all those tiny little pieces that fall off from the main die cut focal point. We will be using all those to inlay and to complete our Eid Mubarak sentiment. Here I have used my Nina 110 pound cardstock. I wanted to keep both of these cards really clean and simple, and I will be adding color to my background instead. Well, you could also do it the other way around, wherein you create a very bright and colorful focal point and pair it with a very clean and simple background. Let's get started with card number 1, for which I will be using these beautiful purples and teals for my background. I'm using the Simon Stamp Positively Saturated inks in the shade Twilight, Galaxy, Ocean and Surf. This panel will go behind my A2 size negative panel, so the color will show up only through the negative spaces of the die cut sentiment. For ink blending, I like to place my panels onto this glass mat by Glassboard Studio. This is a very easy surface to work with. The pond magnets hold my paper in place without me being worried of the paper moving around. Also, if you get any ink, glue, or any kind of spray stains on this glass mat, it is super easy to clean. All you need is a spray bottle and some water and a clean microfiber cloth. For ink blending, I started with Twilight and Galaxy on one end of this card panel, while on the other end, I used Surf and Ocean. These positively saturated inks blend beautifully. I just made sure that the colors meet at a point where I'll get an ombre look on my sentiment. Well, even clean and simple cards need a lot of shine and sparkle. So, once I was done ink blending, I placed my panel into my splatter box and sprayed the panel with this beautiful shimmer spray. Now, this gives a very sparkly, silvery hint on my card panel, which I feel matches perfectly with the violet and teal. Once I've sprayed the panel completely, I will let it dry while we move on to panel number 2. For panel number 2, I'll be using a very unusual color combination, something which I have never tried before. I'll be using yellow, orange and brown. Before I started ink blending, I was really not sure of how this panel would turn out or if this color combination would even work. But I'm really happy with the end result. Now for this card, I'll be ink blending all over the background since this will be the card front. Like in the previous card where the ink blended background only showed up behind our negative die cut space, this panel will be the card front and we just have a white die cut sentiment which will be the focal point on this card front. For this panel, I have used a bunch of different colors and shades of the positively saturated inks. We have Zest and Citrine for yellow, Pucker, Sherbet and Cantaloupe for oranges, Cappuccino, Mocha and Woodsy for the browns. I started with yellows in the center and orange on the top and brown at the bottom. I pulled my brown into the yellow. Well, I love how beautiful this panel turned out. Just like we did for the previous panel, I brought this panel into my splatter box and we will be using the Distress Sprit Spray in the shade Fossilized Amber. This gives a very beautiful gold hint to our ink blended background, which matches perfectly with the browns. This panel definitely looks like a beautiful sunset, and I'm really in love with those colors and the ink blending on this panel. I will let this panel completely dry, and then, well, we can work on assembling our card fronts. For card number one, I assembled the negative die cut panel directly onto the ink blended background using some liquid glue. Don't forget those tiny little pieces that make up our sentiment. Well, once you take a closer look at this, you will see the shine and shimmer and the ombre look peeking through the die cut space. You could also add a sub-sentiment onto this panel, either stamping using a crisp black ink or white heat embossing your sentiment onto a strip of black cardstock. But I decided to keep it as is and added some gems, and we can call this card done. For card number two, I'll be using the Eid Mubarak sentiment as the focal point on the card front. I will directly adhere the sentiment onto the ink blending background. Well, before I do that, I die cut another piece of the sentiment using white cardstock and stacked both of these together to give a little dimensional and sturdy look to our focal point. I then adhered the sentiment onto the lower part of the panel where most of the brown ink blending is done. I feel that the white pops up really well against the beautiful brown background. Now that both my panels are done, I use some foam tape to pop these up onto a top folding A2 size card base. I love the clean and simple look on both these cards with beautiful ink blending and the sparkle that the shimmer spray and the distress spray give. To finish off, I will be adding some of the positively dazzling gems. I have a very beautiful light blue shade from the Pastel Tones Dazzling Gems for card number one, which I thought matches perfectly with the purple and teal ombre look. And I have some very subtle orange shade from the Metallic Tones Dazzling Gems for card number two, which matches perfectly with the orange and brown on this ink blended background. Here's a look at both the cards that we created today. I love how beautiful these turned out and how easy they were to create. A fun way to create two for one card design with zero waste. We had no die cut scraps or any kind of paper that was being wasted. Well, I hope you had fun watching today's video and got inspired. This is a technique you could definitely try and use for any of your focal point images or bold die cut sentiments. All the supplies that I used in today's video will be found linked in the description box below. Please note that all of these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe and Eid Mubarak to all my crafty friends.